checkers and pleasers alike. Welcome to our show, Checkpoint, where we discuss and discern the current events of the most recent episode of Check Please. Today, we are discussing Check Please Halloween Special 2021, Mystery Mayhem Manor. And I would love to welcome our members today. I am Keni, your fortunate host. Foaly as my co-host for today's episode.
Hello there. Hello there.
Beardy, our beloved daddy DM.
Hello.
Skrewy, our rock hard holy man.
It's spooky day.
It is. Happy Halloween, everyone. And then we have Grem, our robot master and beloved gnome.
Howdy.
And Xeno, our swamp witch swarm monger.
Me too.
Oh boy.
And the rest are here on Check Please.
So, for today's episode, we are discussing the Halloween episode that just aired yesterday. So that one was the first time that I've ever DM'd. It goes through a ambiguously canonical / non-canonical setting, where we go through the story of Soul taking everyone out of time and bringing them to another world and their new home. So I'm going to start off the question with just saying, first reactions of just this setting. You weren't told going into the game that I was going to be the DM at that time. So what were all your thoughts going in?
Well, it was exciting. It was fun to have that switch up, I think.
My first reaction is round of applause to you for kicking ass.
Thank
That
you.
too. You did a fantastic job for sure.
That was where you all join in with applauding Keni on kicking ass.
It's
I don't want to destroy the levels.
Yeah. We'll do the snap thing, the snap applause.
Or the,
I don't know, that might be louder.
Go with ASL.
That works too.
That works
true.
too.
Yeah.
So,
To be honest, I was scared.
You
I
were
was
scared?
Because I thought Beardy was going to be doing the Halloween episode. Now, his Christmas episodes are full of cheer and a little bit of fright.
Even though
And
in
I
the
was
main game we're constantly being berated.
Yes, but I was concerned that with him at the reins of a fully intended to be scary. I was concerned we were going to be facing boulets and whole rooms full of weavers and will-o-wisps.
All those
Boulets are scary to you?
I don't like boulets.
That thing that Archie stomped when he was like third of his size?
I don't like boulets.
Huh.
Well,
They're cute and all, but I don't like boulets.
I was gonna say Reduvi thinks they're cute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I'm
is it
weird.
is it the things that burrow underground you don't like? So
Tremors. Very
Okay.
tremors.
Hold on. Note to self.
10 of these in the next episode we
Yep.
do.
Okay. Graboids will be incoming.
But
Graboids? What is that?
Tremors.
That's
Oh.
a Tremors movie.
I've
I would.
never finished the movie.
Oh, they're so good.
The first one's good.
Anyway.
What are you talking about?
They're great. They're schlock and terrible, and I love them.
I'd kind of like to flip the question round and find out what your reaction to DMing for the first time was, Keni, and kind of what made you interested in trying that out, and what was the genesis of that big surprise for folks that you were taking the reins of the Halloween special.
So I was really nervous going into it. I spent, I think, about a week staying up till 2 a.m. every single night writing it. Because originally Beardy was going to be DMing it. We had talked about doing a Halloween special because it was fun. We had so much fun with the Christmas special last year. And we all wanted to do a Halloween special. I was probably the one who was pushing for it the most, actually. So, mostly my fault. I'm sorry.
Bah.
But
I forgive you.
I think a week before Beardy went, I don't know what to write for this. And I kind of hemmed and hawed, and I went, well, I have an idea for a story. Do you mind if I try? And he was like, I would love for you to try DMing. He was very sweet about it, very supportive, as Beardy was kind of like my co-DM in that game too, because we were using Fantasy Grounds for that one. So it doesn't really have permissions for me to like do full access on it, because just how Fantasy Grounds works. So Beardy kind of came in and he like just did all the steps that I needed. So he knew a little more background information than everyone else. But a lot of the stuff, the story elements of it, he did not know. So a lot of it was blind story elements wise, but the maps and stuff, he was fully aware of.
Now, prior to this, had you and Beardy ever discussed you DMing a game? Or Beardy, had you ever had anyone else DM in your homebrew campaign? Or what was that like for you, Beardy, having someone, you know, DM in your world, in a world that is usually you in the position of the benevolent/evil deity?
I'm trying to think, and actually I think out of the 20 or so years that setting has existed, no one else has ever DM'd in it. So that was the first time.
Now, was that frightening? I mean, that's a huge vote of confidence in Kenny's abilities. Especially when Keni hasn't been playing for quite as long as you have. But
no, I knew they would do great. They have an incredible level of imagination and creativity that I knew would be an amazing session. So I wasn't concerned about that at all.
So it was kind of just a matter of waiting for the right opportunity to crop up, and the Halloween episode just seemed like the right time?
Yeah, I mean, a holiday special seems like a great time to start a new person, because it's a session where there's a clear theme, which makes it easier to kind of write for. It's a one-shot, which means it's, you know, you can have a self-contained story. And it was something that, you know, if it turns out they didn't like it, they wouldn't ever have to do it again, and they could set it down, and it was a one-shot thing, and they're done. And if they liked it, then they could do more holiday one-shots. And if they wanted to eventually do like a string of adventures, something like that might be possible too.
I think next year I'll take over the Christmas one.
Ooh. That's not a question. That's
no, that's just a statement.
Yeah, that's a statement. And that's something that had already been discussed anyway.
Hi, Reagan. Good to see you. So,
Hey.
kind of the fun part also, I think a long while ago, I went, well, how does it go to DM? And I kind of went through a story that I had written, like, in high school, where I came up with this whole world, and I was like, could I DM a setting like this? And I've shown Beardy segments of that before, and that's kind of where, like, I've had some talk of DMing before, but really, I don't know if I could ever do an entire campaign. I think I'm much more comfortable with this one-shot setting because of how much time I prep, because I am a workaholic and I have so much anxiety for making people happy. I don't think I could do it full-time. I think I'm good for my one-shots.
But definitely something that you're up to try again, though, it sounds like. That.
Yeah, I think so.
And we look forward to a whole sort of check please cinematic universe of holiday specials. Do we have an Easter special and an Arbor Day special for Corona lined up?
I'm trying to stay away from religion past Christmas.
That's fair. So you mentioned staying up, and these questions are kind of geared towards you at the little beginning, Keni, but I know that you have others to ask all of the players, but I want to sort of start off at the beginning, which was, you know, how you've developed the story over the course of that week. You mentioned having ideas prior to that. So when did you... What were the ideas that you wanted to play with? And I guess also when, spoilers, did you decide you wanted to bring in some familiar faces, or... familiar to those of us who are watching and listening to Snake Eyes, which should be all of us, because yay, Snake Eyes. So what was the genesis of that idea?
So, I kind of had an idea that I definitely wanted to bring Soul back at some point in the 5-year gap in between Season 1 and Season 2. I thought it would be a good event to just have people interact with that character and kind of show that they're moving on in a different way. They're kind of grown as a person, but they're the same, but they're different. I mean, not just visually, but they just have different life experiences now. And whether they're happy or not, they're still the same anxious teen, I think, in the end. But I really wanted to have that interaction still, which concreted Soul in a different world, and actually leads into another like mini memoir podcast that we're working on right now for Soul.
Ooh.
So I wanted to kind of put that a little more concretely interwoven into the story. And then when I was thinking of the story, I was like, I don't know how to do this without it just being boring and just them talking to Soul, and I think that would be really overwhelming to just have Soul be there. So I thought it would be a really fun idea to bring in the Snake Eyes characters, because in itself, I know how these characters act. I've played them for a long time now, and they would have fun ideas and interactions with all the characters just based on how the other characters make assumptions. Petraevian with Pringle.
And we'll touch on some of that in a minute or two.
We
but
will.
I want to open it up to everyone. How did you all feel as both players and as your characters as well, seeing Soul again?
Definitely interesting.
Awesome.
I don't know. There's a lot to it, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotions to unpack.
Well, I mean, what were the predominant ones for you? What did you feel first? Did you go through the 5 stages of, I guess, ungrief?
Of ungrief.
Yes.
What's the starting emotion with that one?
Let's see if it's
You
denial.
start
with
So not
acceptance.
denial. You start with acceptance and
Start
you work
with
your way
acceptance.
backwards towards anger. Or...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anger.
I would.
God
that
damn
sounds
it,
about
Soul! What are you
correct.
doing here?
Bargaining.
No,
I'm just
I mean,
being
it was-
myself. What are you doing here?
I'm being Irish for some reason.
Of course they were Irish. They were orange.
Oh goodness.
I don't
They're
get
green.
it.
Anyway. Oh, it's a Catholic Protestant thing.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Religion.
Shall we start with Grem? Because I know that you had some particularly
Yeah.
strong reactions to Soul as Lavette.
Yeah, it's super bittersweet because it's like, oh, Soul's back, but also they're gonna be gone again, kind of as the very nature of that. And then obviously with how it ended, with everyone forgetting everything, made that extra bittersweet as a player.
Well, not everyone forgot.
Well, for my character, it was
Yeah,
pretty
your
bittersweet.
character forgot. I kept that. I think Beardy knew exactly who would have remembered that instance. If people consider it canon, Beardy knows exactly what 2 little rambunctious people would have remembered.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
they
So
can-
what about Xeno or Skrewy or
Yeah.
Beardy? Beardy, what did you know? And what did you know? And when
What
did
did
you
you
know
know?
it? Talk.
Most
Did you
everything, I
know
guess.
that Soul was coming back
Oh yeah.
for that episode? Okay, that was part of
Yeah.
your
He had to
discussion.
set
that
up all
Okay.
the NPCs for me.
Oh,
when
of
we were
course, of course,
working
of
on
course.
it.
So from a
Yeah,
technical
and-
perspective, right?
And then from like a personal perspective, I had never really been away from Soul for very long as a person because like I had been running all these other ancillary things and Soul features predominantly in a lot of those. So this was this was a PC that I was still very familiar with. So it wasn't really like a long lost friend coming back.
Yeah,
for me.
Beardy has the most contact with Soul. I mean, if anything, they just kind of come out. They don't come out as much as they used to, I think, just when I'm talking. So I think it's very funny because I'm like, oh, I'm growing as a person. I don't need Soul as much. It's very fun.
Xeno?
It was interesting because like Soul is this character that is one of the very few that Vera actually holds in high regards. Like they never think of Soul as being dead though. It's just like, oh, they're gone and kind of like cursed in a way. So it wasn't like seeing someone come back from the dead, but it was like finally being able to see your friend after like years and years, that kind of thing. It was
Yeah,
interesting.
I think Vera had pretty positive responses. Besides, like, I think compared to most people, because if I'm assuming this correctly, Vera was like, well, you saved our world, so I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
I think
good.
Vera's probably the most positive
Yeah.
out of everyone of the incident.
You did a good
Which
job.
you've got to love, Vera being the most positive about anything.
It's fucking weird.
It's I mean, no disrespect to Vera, but it's unusual for Vera to be chill about something
Are you
like that. I
inferring
mean,
that
correct
Vera
me
is
if I'm
not
wrong
a
here,
bright
Xeno.
beacon of positivity?
I am kind of implying, although that coming from you and Lavette is a little bit hot calling the kettle black. Skrewy,
Okay, point made.
Skrewy, what are your thoughts?
Bittersweet. because Petra is putting his assumed knowledge of what Soul is doing and has to just like separate that from seeing the person again.
Yeah. I think that's how I normally deal with people. I just separate like the things I don't like about them, and then I keep talking to them.
Well, yeah. I mean, talking on that point specifically for Lavette's feelings, it was kind of weird because like her feelings were like, I don't really like that this is happening, but I definitely am not going to be doing anything about it right here and right now.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to hurt Soul's feelings by making it a thing out of it.
Yeah, they
You don't
did.
want to call out Soul for their genocide.
Right. Well,
That
yeah,
makes
because
the
it
dinner
wouldn't.
party awkward.
Oh, yeah, it would have just made the party stop. It wouldn't have probably made Soul stop. They were kind of contractually
no.
obligated. They didn't have the option to, so
Very
it's not like she's
literally.
going to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not like badgering them about it would help, but there was also that discomfort of like, you're still one of the good guys, right?
Are they? Well, Keni, how did you feel? How did you respond to people's responses to Soul? Did you feel that they were, okay with Soul, or did you feel that there was sort of judgment, be it unspoken judgment that they're repressing, or how did Soul feel about that whole thing? Or was Soul just
I can
very
answer
much in
for Soul
control?
much better than I can as a player, actually.
Okay, go for it.
So, I think just based on separation, Soul's learned a lot about themselves just in general. However, they can't help but feel, even in this short amount of time, that not only that they're different, but that they just don't have the same experiences anymore. So they kind of feel like they're out of sorts with everyone. They're super excited to see them, but it's kind of like meeting with someone you haven't seen since like high school, and you're like, oh, we were really close once upon a time. How you doing?
And it's especially complicated by the fact that obviously Soul has packed a lot more experiences into that time because time is flowing differently for them.
It's
so,
true. Isn't that a
Yeah.
bitch?
So shall we launch into some of your questions?
Yeah, just a fun one to start off with. What is everyone's character's favorite drinks? Because we kind of went over Petraevians, I believe, in this episode.
Okay,
Wine.
so are we going?
Yeah, you can. I mean, I think Karis is an obvious answer, but you can go ahead. Does
Yeah.
she have a specific type that she likes?
Not really. Honestly, it's red wine because the
Blood.
shitty cult that she was grown up in, they had a whole thing about wine and blood. So it's just what she was used to. So red wine.
Alrighty.
And
That's always been a whiskey drinker.
whiskey, yeah. Very gnomish.
Yeah.
She drinks a whiskey drink. She drinks a cider drink. Sorry.
See, for Vera, so because Vera obviously drinks mead, I don't think she likes the taste of mead necessarily. Seeing as how she puts honey in it,
It's so disgusting.
she literally drinks mead because she's like, this is what I'm supposed to like because it's made with honey. But technically, it would be anything that's super sweet. It would be a super sweet like drink would be what Vera would drink. Well, you got something against sweet drinks, Skrewy?
No, my question would be, would they be into things like tequila sunrises or
Apple teas.
apple tea,
Those are-
things that are like,
Bitter.
yeah.
Okay. So are you saying that Vera's peer pressured into drinking?
Yeah.
So, like,
bit.
when
By
everyone's
me.
drinking
Peer
around, you're like,
pressured by
I
me.
should be drinking too. I guess I'll get this.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
That is pretty
Damn.
sad. I
Well,
feel
once
bad.
again, it's just
Yeah.
like
Alcohol is a bad influence.
Also diabetes.
I mean, yeah, I think we've figured that one out.
I mean, at least honey is naturally digested by the body compared to sugar. So, honestly, the best kind of sugar you can eat.
Mhm.
That's right,
And it's
Ken?
antimicrobial and antibacterial.
Hell yeah, science. Fuck yeah.
Bee fats.
So, and then Skrewy, I don't know if you remember Petraevian's favorite drink that was stated. So I'm gonna see if you actually change your answer.
Well, Petraevians would have been the from when he grew was in the Legion, very Roman. They would have that weird wine. I can't remember the name of it. That weird wine kind of the mixture that was better to drink than water, because water wasn't always good to drink. But I cannot remember the name of it.
Yeah. And do you want answers for the Snake Eyes crew? Because I don't think I have them. Because
I was hoping you did.
look, Jackie will take
for next year.
Yeah, I'd say Jackie will take anything sweet. Pringle likes wine. More of a religious standpoint on that one. She just likes wine. It's cool. It's like, yeah. Every religion drink wine. No other. No other drink, only wine. Pedor doesn't really like alcohol. They do it as more of a social thing, very similarly to Vera, where it's like, oh, this is the thing that we do when we're all together. Yay! It doesn't taste good. And then, let's see. I think Lavi also goes for more sweet alcohols. Moo does not drink either, but would be a wine drinker if any case.
Interesting.
I can't actually imagine Moo being a drinker of any kind.
They like wine sautéed mushrooms, so that's yeah, exactly. Mushrooms are just like one of their favorite things to eat. I mean, it's just kind of a common thing.
I now hate Moo. I'm sorry. I really liked them, but now they're dead to me completely.
What? Wine?
That sounds
wine
so
sautéed
good.
with
Foaly
maybe
hates
some-
mushrooms. That's why.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
And
Mushrooms.
Kenny likes mushrooms. but
Yeah,
can't
I'm just
eat them.
intolerant to them. God
Dear,
hates
dear,
me. And then who else was there? Did I already say Lavi's? Yeah, I guess there would be Kailani. And Kailani, more of a water drinker, not really an alcoholic.
A Hydra homie.
Yeah, they're a Hydra homie.
Oh goodness.
They're into Michelob Ultras.
I don't understand.
Because it's basically
Michelob
water. It's
Ultras.
very
Oh,
cheap.
I thought that would be
Yeah.
like
Water.
Rolling Rock.
Rolling Rock.
Rolling
Oh,
Rock's just
yeah.
practically water.
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, is it?
I can see
Okay.
Kailani drinking Rolling Rock.
I can see Kailani drinking Rolling Rock.
It's the joke about American beer. Why is American beer like sex in a canoe? And it's fucking
'Cause
close
it's
to
fucking
water.
Mhm.
Ah, terrible.
I love that one.
I wasn't involved in the episode, but can I just say that Kurla absolutely loves Cosmopolitans, Long Island iced teas, and margaritas?
Yes! Let's go! Pop off!
I don't know
Honestly.
why, but I'm just going to make that canon right here and right now.
Put it on the wiki. Put it on the wiki.
Absolutely.
I
What would be the
feel
equivalent of a
like
Long
that's
Island
gotta
iced
make
tea, like a
sense.
long Pyrenees iced tea? Or no, we'll worry about that later. What else you got for us, Kenny, question-wise?
So I was wondering how everyone's reaction was to meeting the Snake Eyes crew in character for the first time, besides just knowing about them beforehand and seeing some of their activities. How was the interaction? How was just seeing them in that room for the first time and being like, oh!
Pedor is such a sweetie.
Everyone likes Pedor. Like, that is just a
Oh.
condition.
No, Pedor.
Such a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
They were all fun. That was really nice.
I always think I will say that it's always a lot because there's a lot of personalities all
Yeah.
coming in at you at once, and I have to decide how is Vera going to negatively interact with all of these people.
Thank you, Dancing Mop. Dancing Mop said, I loved how much time Kenny spent describing their outfits when they first appeared. I didn't actually end up describing anyone other than I think one person when I first started Snake Eyes. Just due to prompting, if I didn't, like, get asked, I didn't think about describing them. So we kind of, like, fudged that up with Snake Eyes when it first started. So I really tried to take time to actually describe them in this session. So I'm really happy that you appreciate that. Thank you.
I honestly thought we were gonna have to battle them.
Technically,
If
you're
I'm
going to battle
honest.
one of them.
Yes, but I mean, like, I thought it was going to be a battle royale or a team match.
No, that's another time.
They are too underleveled to deal with you all.
Yeah.
I want to have a battle royale with our characters in Snake Eyes.
But I
Yeah.
didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, they are level 3 compared to you guys during that Halloween episode. So, y'all would have just destroyed them in 5 seconds. The only one who was
That
the
would've been
same
nuts.
level as you all was Kailani.
Yeah.
Wanna go
Didn't
for a race?
Petraevian already destroy Pador in just 5 seconds? That's all it took.
Whoa. Wow. Wow.
We'll get into that. I mean, Petraevian already did. Get into that.
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
In and out and in and out. It was something like that.
I do have a question for Keni, though, about the Snake Eyes character.
Yeah,
We're earning our mature rating today, aren't we? Is it difficult for you? This was a question from Beardy, but is it difficult for you to switch between characters so rapidly? Because at some points you were having kind of 2- and 3-person conversations with yourself, which is pretty damn impressive. But you made it seem very, very easy, and you seemed very comfy with it. Was that tricky for you?
Not at all, actually. I've known these characters for a while, and sometimes I just instinctively, like, have conversations between them based on what's happening in Snake Eyes, where I'll be like, oh, what if they'd had this conversation? And it'll just go off in my head. So, besides needing some air in between from time to time, I thought it was very easy. It was like breathing water. I think the only problem would be accents between Pringle and Kailani. Those two are a little too similar for me, and I'm very bad at an Australian accent. I'm very new at it still, too, so there's a couple of phrases that I say to get me into the accent, which makes them have, like, a catchphrase, unfortunately. So, like, when I need to get into Pringle, I say darling sometimes, because that'll get me straight into there. And then when I need to do Kailani, I say, wanna go for a race?
I'll go for a race.
And then it gets straight into there, and it's really good. And it just takes, like, a little bit of time to, like, switch how my mouth is moving when I'm doing that. But other than that, I think the others are very easy, because the Oculus can just be here whenever he wants. It's just so easy. I just love doing his sitting position, because I always do this when I talk as him. And then when I do Pador, I am here, and I have my fists balled up, and it is so good. Pador is very easy, and that was, an accent that I just kind of made up. I didn't base it off of anything. I just kind of decided, how would someone talk if they learned language so very late into their life? So that's kind of how I made that up. I think it sounds like an accent, but it's mostly just something I came from my brain.
So what do Moo and Lavi look like when you're doing them?
When Moo talks, they kind of scrunch up a little bit. I have to do that to my esophagus in general when I'm talking, so it's not as interesting looking, and I look down a lot, and I think about a lot of what I'm saying. And then when I talk as Lavi, I kind of talk up here, and I try to have more of a fluttering voice. So,
Thank you for that.
you're welcome. So a lot of it's fairly easy. Just some of the accents are harder to switch between.
Well, Beardy was clearly impressed with by that question, and so were, I dare say, all of us.
Yeah.
More questions from you. Oh, beg your pardon.
I would like to say, in relation to this question and the last one, I think it was really, as a player, I thought it was really, when we saw that these characters show up, it was a really good idea to use them as your NPCs, because kind of like you said, you just had a bunch of really well-developed NPCs that you were already familiar with, and we were already familiar with as players, right? Like, our characters didn't know them, and we kind of had to role-play out, like, getting to know them, but there was this eagerness to actually do that, because I already knew I liked them.
Yeah. So I thought I was hoping it would be fun when putting them in. And I couldn't think of any other NPCs I'd want to put in, because I didn't want to play really canon ones that had already existed, like Karis or Biff or something. Like, that all felt ingenuine to what the story would have been. So the Snake Eyes just felt natural once I thought of it.
I kind of would love to hear you play Biff, though, but we'll move on from that.
Oh,
Now that you said it, I would too.
I don't even know what Biff sounds like anymore.
That's a good problem to have.
That's a good problem to have, actually, yeah.
I think you'd still do a good Biff.
Oh, I gotta do this face, probably.
He's a very confident, smarmy guy. I don't know.
So back
He
to
sounds
you,
like Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
So, kind of while meeting these characters through your characters, so you had to have a bit more of a different personality with them based on just existing with the knowledge of them, you had to play as your characters also meeting them. How did your characters feel meeting these characters? I know we got to see them interact, but I kind of want to know what the characters' innate feelings were with interacting. Like an example being Petraevian being more like, the king of hell worshipper, Pringle! Spooky.
Yeah.
That's a good reaction.
Yeah, Skrewy, what's that reaction?
What's that reaction, Boo?
Oh, that was.
You got a problem
was
with
a period of-
Mephistopheles worshippers?
That was a
Yes.
period of time for Petra.
Yeah, that 5-year gap.
That was a period of growth for him, and he was trying, not succeeding, trying to not be an asshole to everybody that isn't of his own conclave, and not always successful.
So
He was being a misjudger pants.
Oh no, you
Absolutely
judged
was.
the literal devil worshipper.
I mean,
oh, no.
here's the thing: is
Yeah.
in defense of Petraevian, I think that like inclusiveness and tolerance are not really qualities that I expect in a paladin. So I think that that's pretty accurate.
That is true.
I just think it's interesting because like, well, I'm genuinely curious as to like what the mindset behind that activity was, because like, as far as I understand it, Eden doesn't directly oppose Mephistopheles. Obviously, Eden is in favor of doing good shit and not evil shit, but like, it's not like a Christian dichotomy where the devil is the nemesis of the main god.
Right. The idea with Petra is that teeter between lawful and neutral good. And if I understand correctly, Mephistopheles is a lawful evil.
He is lawful
Mhm.
evil, yes.
Yeah, so it's not a complete diametrically opposed. So it's opposite ends, but not complete opposite ends. So there's.
So you're looking at more as an alignment chart than a religion dichotomy. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
It
Pure and
was
simple.
less that Asmodeus, or sorry, that Mephistopheles is your particular villain, and more that you couldn't see a worshiper of them not being evil.
Correct.
So how did he cope with Karis?
Is Karis evil?
No, but I mean,
Then Owen. But Owen's
Yeah, she-
good, right? I don't know. I think Owen... Is Owen neutral? Questionably?
I believe Owen is neutral.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Owen is just,
Well,
from
it's
my
not like-
understanding, just
Petraevian remembered what Karis was worshipping when we were dealing
That's
with her
fair.
either.
Also, Beardy, in terms of the theogony of Adron, the Mephistopheles is, well, not just Adron, but the entire sort of universe. Is Mephistopheles not, I don't know if creation is the right word, but not descended from Eden?
Yeah, essentially the way that I broke down like the whole pantheon is that they basically all sort of sprang forth from that initial god of life. So, like Eden created all the other gods first, and then the gods worked together to create all the different worlds. So they're all kind of family, but that term doesn't really match up to deities very well.
And even when you put it that way, if you go to a family gathering, there still might be that uncle you're like, fuck
Oh, yeah.
that guy in particular.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty
We
of
don't
people in my
invite him,
family-
and he keeps on coming over.
There's plenty of people in my family that I don't care for. I mean, come on, that's
That's a mood.
life, right?
That's a mood.
So like, you know, you
coming
end
up on
with-
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So you know,
I always forget
Just
November
because
exists. Just in
so
general.
just because they're family doesn't mean they all get along, obviously. And they're not. And I also wouldn't really want to use the term family, because that also implies a level of connection and closeness that doesn't exist.
Because they're related.
Yeah, it's biological. It's not necessarily, well, biological. It's
Gods.
God.
I'm just
biology,
gods in
not- not-
quotations.
No, I think the statement sprang forth works well there, because, you know, it's kind of like a plague springs forth. I don't know.
That's
like-
right. The gods are a plague on this land.
Wow, this coming from
That's
you,
right,
Skrewy,
Vera.
is a really interesting
What is?
perspective.
What are you about? I'm confused now. I think we might want to keep going with these
You're
questions.
stealing Curlish
So
shit, the gods
anyways.
being a plague.
Hey,
tell you
what,
get
though.
off my- This is your
Screwy.
side of the curb.
Why was
Pitch though. I'm sorry, but
You're good.
Thanksgiving holiday special episode. It's just all the Adron gods in a room, trying to get along for a
Sounds
nice
awful.
sit-down meal.
Yeah, it's like for one evening we're gonna have a nice meal.
I so want
It
to
would
see
be
this.
so funny.
Jesus
Yeah, me
Christ.
too. Honestly, now that
like
you
we'd
say
have
it.
to be given like scripts of like how your character acts,
Mhm.
and then we
Yeah,
have to
everybody
like
plays a
play that
different
out.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Oh,
just
like a
at,
murder
at the head of
mystery
the
room.
table, there's just an old woman that doesn't talk the whole night.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's just trying to impress her.
Yeah.
They ask her a question
Are
and
you-
a deer walks by.
Like, are you proud of us? And then a deer walks through the room and just like shit somewhere.
Oh.
Chisel comes in and craps and then leaves.
Oh, we have
And
to
then
Good to
everybody's
know.
like,
them.
Was that a
Oh.
sign or just Chisel being Chisel?
Be like, okay, mom, I get
Fucking-
it. All right.
Fucking Mask
I mean,
being
like-
like the gossip of the group and being like, you will not believe what I heard today.
Oh, shit.
Or is Chisel already a mouthpiece for Eden?
Ooh.
And that's maybe why Chisel behaves the way Chisel does.
Oh.
Never thought of that, did you,
shit.
bitch?
Uh-oh.
Well, that
Oh,
sheds
Oh,
an interesting
shit.
light on some later stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Huh?
stuff to unpack
There
there.
is
So
some
screwy.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Why was Petra so nonchalant about giving a portion of his flesh to Moo?
Like ripped off.
Like that's a
Yeah.
pancake. You just.
Because if we fix shit all the time like that, it's like, I
Yeah, it's
guess,
nice.
sure.
Is
Like-
it possible to be a little bit too generous, a little bit too giving of oneself, literally?
Oh, no. Petra's a giver.
Definitely gave
Fedor
a lot to
thinks so.
Fedor.
Fist bump, Xeno, our minds went to the same place there. Nicely done.
I literally was teeing that up for you. I'm so glad
Oh, yeah.
you
That was a team effort.
I don't have enough alcohol
Co-op.
for this
I
day.
like it. Oh, were we
got
drinking?
plenty.
Damn.
I
talking
wish
about-
I was.
Oh, goodness.
Afterwards.
So I'm
Hey,
just wondering whether or not you gave the flesh so willingly because it's just like, yeah, sure, it's not like it hurts me, or was it actually something Petra would do?
Oh no, Petra. Petra also is very curious about himself. So doing something for science reasons to get it to maybe find out more about himself. Yeah, it's all like donating to science.
Normally,
Like-
you do that after you die.
Seriously.
True,
Baby.
but you sign up those consent forms for experimentation.
I mean, Moo did ask before it happened. I think
Yeah.
all the Snake Eyes characters were very much so talking about consent normally, where they just asked about things instead of just doing them. Even though I think Moo would probably be the least amount, just because they just don't have the same amount of lines as other people. They just don't understand it the same way as some. It's just social issues with them. But Dancing Mop had a question, was when did this event take place, and is Petra made of bees yet? I'll answer the first question. The Halloween special took place in between the 5 years from season 1 and season 2. Petra currently is not made out of bees, at least in the Halloween special, but we'll see in the future.
Well, I mean, he did get bead once.
That's true.
Already
we already
at
did
that
get beat
point.
once.
Mm-hmm.
I guess,
Are-
yeah.
And besides, are we
I've
not
done
all
season
bees
1.
on this blessed day?
We're all bees on the inside.
I like to think so.
Especially on today of all days. We're all
Y'all
bees.
just don't know it yet.
And Kenny, I'd actually wanted to ask you a couple of questions about Moo while we're talking about.
Okay.
Lovely. Fine, I'll ask Moo directly. Moo,
Hey.
what exactly is the nature? Actually, maybe Lavette should be asking this, but what is the nature of your relationship with Archie? What is the nature of your interest, your prurient interest towards Archie?
I just think he's fascinating.
Can you elaborate on that?
I want to take him apart and put him back together just to see how it works.
You want to see his insides?
Yeah. I also think his personality is better than people.
Aww.
That's because it is better than people.
Because
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
right,
like
Americans.
people at all.
On a kind of related note, Moo kind of had some reservations taking samples from Paydor, but was totally fine with it with Petraevian and others. What's that all about? What's the rationale there?
So the question was why Moo would be opposed to taking something from Paydor than Petraevian?
Yeah, a little bit more reserved about.
Moo actually
that.
cares about Paydor.
Oh,
In the very simplest sense, they don't know Petraevian. They haven't had like enough of a conversation to see him as a person to Moo, because people are kind of like shadowy blobs to them until Moo actually gets to know them. And there's not a lot of people that Moo actually pays attention to, so they don't actually look at like faces or what people look like for a very long time unless, one, they think it's necessary, or two, if they care about the person. It's just they're just different how they see the world.
that makes sense.
So they don't really see Petraevian as anything other than pieces yet.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's really sad to say, and it might be a bit cruel, but Moo's just a different kind of person.
And what is many pieces but a hunk?
And that is what Petraevian is.
And then there was this awkward silence.
Oh, I didn't think it was that long, but Grem, does
Mhm.
Lavette consider herself the leader of the group, or just the tactician of it?
I mean, she considers Soul the leader of the group.
Oh, Soul's gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point in time, the group had not rebanded at that, and so there wasn't really a leader. And like, since we've already aired some season 2, I can speak of it. That like, as far as we've gotten, she doesn't really think of there as being a leader. Like, because Vera is a leadership figure in her church,
Mm-hmm.
but Lavette's aware of how single-mindedly she'd pursue that. That like, if the church and the party ever stop being aligned in goals, then Vera's leadership skills are going to go dedicated completely to the church. And so she doesn't really think of there being a central leadership person in the group at all. Everyone kind of reins each other in a way, now that there's not like Soul around.
Can I ask a follow up on that? Because I heard a little reaction there, Xeno, and I'm curious. Is that accurate to
Oh,
how
definitely.
you feel? You think? Okay, you agree with that as Vera.
Like, literally, Vera's complete devotion is towards the church that of Mellifera. So it's just how it be.
Are we buzzing? We're making buzzing noises.
Oh goodness.
So, Beardy, I have a question for you
Yes.
about Karis.
Yeah, go ahead.
Karis showed some odd signs about dealing with particular people during the session. She seemed to have considerable racism towards harpies that she's never really shown before. She seemed to be very judgmental towards Lavi's actions, especially the slight klepto actions. And I don't think we've ever seen her judge people this harshly before. And I wanted to see what was happening with Karis during this session.
Sure. So, Karis was a sheltered person growing up, obviously. Like, she was raised in a cult, in a sewer, and she didn't have much experience with the outside world or different peoples. So, what her understandings of different races came from books for the most part. And books can be written by people with certain biases. So, when she actually went out into the wider world and met harpies for the first time, they were traders that were very interested in making money. They were very interested in the acquisition of wealth, which has kind of reinforced the stereotypes that she read about in her books anyway. So I think a lot of it is just a lack of exposure to their culture and their people at like a closer level. Because whenever she was interacting with harpies, it was pretty much universally a bad experience for her because she gets so airsick. And like the main experiences she had with them was traveling with them for a little while and just being horribly like ill the whole time. So I feel like that would reinforce that unconscious bias that she got from the books anyway. So yeah, she has like I would say like a low-level racism toward harpies, without even really thinking about it. Like it's sort of an unconscious racism.
Okay.
Like a bias, more so like a
Mhm.
bias.
A
Yeah,
systemic
for sure.
racism, if you will.
Hmm.
Yeah, and which exists in the world toward them anyway.
Right.
And they're tolerated, but they're not really accepted anywhere. They're seen as useful.
That's sad.
Sad days.
That is sad.
I mean, yeah, but that's sort of how people can be about other people's. It's like, oh, they're fine if they stay here and bring us goods from other areas, but we don't want them living here. And
Sure.
we don't, we want them to move along when they're done, sort of a thing. Oh, hey, thanks for the shiny thing. Now here's some gold. Go away. And that's
They're
sort of how
very
they're treated.
contractual.
Very, and their society has sort of adapted. Like, and in the Harpy's credit, like they don't take offense to that. Their society's adapted around it, and they've become more contractual because of that.
Hmm.
Which is why so much of their dealings with people are formalized at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In the special, you all found that Soul has a desk in their fiance's office with figures of all of you, as well as a map of the
Yeah,
country they're
Pathfinder minis.
in. Yeah, Pathfinder minis. What are all your thoughts on this particular desk?
It's not creepy.
It's so
adorable.
sweet. I was so happy.
Oh.
My headcanon is I like to believe that Soul's writing a campaign.
Oh, they're writing a campaign, right? All right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Campaign
yeah.
of death.
No, not intentionally, I guess.
But still,
It's there. It's there. It's just.
Of conquest.
It's not like they get distracted. It's more like their thought of being a good person just happens to align with helping everyone.
The thought that they're running a campaign brings up so many questions. It's just that's such a mind fuck, because then it's like, wait, so did they assign their friends for other people that they now know to
Soul
play,
doesn't
or
have
did their
friends.
the people they now met just happen to come up with characters who are exactly their friends from the last world?
Look, the only person who would play with Soul would probably be Anvil, and he'd be really bad at it because he'd try to min-max.
I have,
Fucking
I have an
Midmaster.
idea for
Fucking
that.
Midmaster.
And that's to say that how do you know that Soul hasn't already like abducted you guys multiple times to play out these campaigns and you just don't remember them?
what if the
And they just
campaign?
send us
Wow.
back.
What if this current campaign is literally Soul playing?
Yeah. What if season 2
It's
is
like,
just all
I
in
want
Soul's
Vera
head?
to be the bee queen and
Yeah.
get everything she ever wanted.
Yeah, and do all these cool things and save the world. And it's like, yeah, of course that would be what Soul would want. So maybe season 2 is all just
I
in
love
their
this.
brain.
I fucking love this. It just
And they
gets
make
deeper and deeper.
2 new friends, and they're just as grumpy as everyone else.
So
Outstanding.
then how would you explain Petra's uncanny luck? In that.
I mean, they've
in that
met
verse?
you,
Yeah.
and also they're rolling
He's already
die.
had uncanny
They're like,
luck.
how
Okay.
come every time I roll for Petraevian, I always get the best rolls, and everyone else sucks?
Pick up the weighted dice. It's not my fault.
Anvil, stop cheating!
Sorry.
And they roll it. They roll it. Oh yeah, that was a 20.
Let me see
Anvil,
it.
that's
Oh, I
the
already picked it
4th
up.
20.
I picked up the die. It was a 20, I
I
swear.
understand you have a perfection fetish, but you can't do that in game.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I rolled another 20 here.
Anvil,
see?
Anvil, stop. That's not how the game works. If you pick up your dice one more time, you're out of the group.
Whoa.
Oh dear.
Whoa.
It's
I
just gonna be
actually
me
have
and Ish playing, and nobody wants that.
This is such a sad game.
Wait, who of the 8 would play what characters then?
Ooh.
Zij would always want to change characters every single time.
Yeah, Zij would just be like, like every time there would be like after any session, they'd just come up to the DM and be like, "Hey,
Here's a
so
new
I had a
character
great idea
sheet."
for a new character." Every time.
Okay.
I feel like Ish would either demand to be the DM or be that player who DMs when they're not. They'd just be like, well, the way I would do it is this
There,
for every little thing.
Yeah,
and just be like, oh well, that's fine, but it doesn't really make sense.
I'm sorry, Ish, but that's not part of the homebrew rules, so you're gonna have to roll it
They do
as
rules.
said.
Oh,
Would-
I just thought
would
the
they be a
game was
rules lawyer?
realistic and immersive, is all. But
It is with my rules, Ish. Now roll your dice, please. Thank you.
Speaking of Ish and Anvil and the Eight, even though this is quasi-canonical, I was curious to know what y'all as players made of some of the lore developments that were kind of revealed as a sort of by the way type thing. So we've got sort of revelations of stuff that took place post-rending. I'm thinking Alec continuing the spiring in Presidium.
Thank you.
And Siva not staying in touch. Siva. So were there any things in particular that kind of caught your attention? I mean, just the fact that Anvil is connected with Snake Eyes, which I mean, some people might have guessed, and some people might have not got to that point yet. So feelings on the lore reveals and development that happened in this episode that may or may not be canonical.
Well, that's the thing, is like, we don't know how things are going to go yet. Like, for example, I know that Keni had the, like, hive temples. Like, we don't know how the hive's going to go yet.
No, I was just like, fuck it. I want to see hives in the future. Fuck it. Pringles chill.
I mean, a lot of this reveals I felt both as a player and a character where things was like, that's nothing I can do anything about. Okay.
Skrewy?
I'm reserving my opinion. I want to see. I love lore dumps. I love finding out more, and I'm eager to see will the aid come into play for us in the future. And with this, and having more knowledge, really, I like more knowledge. I like more world expansion.
Wait,
So
they're contracted not to come over here anymore.
Yeah, I don't think
What
that
do you
they
mean?
will.
Except
I
for
just want you to. Can you define coming back to play with you?
They already do. That's a D&D match. We've established this. We're all the characters. Yeah.
Like, do you mean like physically coming back to Adrian and fucking about, or what do you?
yeah,
because
Okay.
yeah, come back to fucking about in Adrian.
Yeah, I think they're not allowed to. Wasn't that the deal?
Yep.
yeah,
I
because-
thought that was
because-
only Ish's deal.
They are part
And
of
the- and-
Ish.
Okay,
Yeah, which is
so
why
I
you
thought
don't
that
see
was
Soul like popping around anymore either.
'Cause-
okay.
correct me if I'm wrong. Anvil isn't there. Is he just like? It's his followers. I can't remember.
He has a cult.
Yeah, but it's not like he's like rampaging about in Snake Eyes.
Nope.
I guess
you-
my only
okay.
thought, like, I as a player knew that was a thing, but I guess when Lavette heard that in character, there was the feeling of, like, good to know our sacrifices were basically for nothing.
Yay.
But that
You
was
said
kind of par for
something-
the course for her at that point.
You said something interesting there, Birdie, which is that, Soul and types haven't been leaping around in the world of Adrian, but it seemed like Soul and Pringle had a connection there, that they had encountered each other
Yeah, it's strange, right?
outside of just the weird little places that Soul
Yeah.
would pull people. That sounded
weird.
to me like
Hmm.
maybe there was some other kind of interaction elsewhere going on.
How very interesting. I
Interesting.
wonder
Kenny,
what that could mean.
Kenny, what are your thoughts on that?
I still think it's the fortune teller.
in the circus in
I think that was Soul. Just too many connections with like how Soul's powers work. When it was related to love and they talked about strings, and I was like, fuck.
and Beardy will confirm or deny nothing.
No, he'll just stay quiet. He does that face. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the face.
Maybe.
That's the face.
I respect that. Run your hustle. You got to do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make up your own determinations. I don't know. What do you think?
I told you what I think. Grem, did Lavette feel more comfortable or even at home with working next to another intellectually based character like Moo?
In theory, like, she went to nerd school, right? She went to gnome school, so she's used to it. And she was definitely expecting to find a kindred spirit in Moo, but she's also more than ever just looking for someone to accept her, and so Moo's kind of standoffish personality made that like
Complicated.
That's definitely the word. She like, as somebody who is also not great with people, she was not gonna fault them for it, but it was also like, well, you're the person the most like me and you want nothing to do with me, so I guess I'll just hang out by myself.
Are you working on a toy?
How are you doing? Why are you in this room?
And then also, like, the inference that they would be related was like a real mixed bag for her, because it was like, oh, this could be huge, but it also might be stuff I don't want to know.
Okay.
So she didn't really know if she wanted to tackle that. And then when Moo was like, oh, I don't really want to talk about basically anything, it was like, oh, I guess we're not tackling that. Guess I'll just have to observe and learn through observation.
Yeah. Moo's a mixed bag. You got something, Skrewy? You moved your hand. I wasn't sure if you were trying to say something. Oh, you are muted? You're muted, Boo.
You're muted.
Yep, sorry. Muting to talk to Sun.
Oh, okay. I'll go back to my questions then. What was everyone's thoughts on Moo's and Archie's relationship? I know Foaly asked me about what was up with it, but what was everyone's reaction?
I thought it was spot on, because it's like, oh, knowing what I know about Moo, of course they would immediately be drawn to Archie, because not a people.
Not a people.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
But he's the best people.
Mm-hmm.
That's because
I mean,
he's
obviously
not.
it's super
people
sweet.
and the best people. Yeah.
I mean, when it was occurring, I wasn't sure exactly the reason behind it. I didn't know if it was good or like nefarious. So I was like, I don't fucking know.
It was very innocent, to be honest, if not just trying to seek answers.
It's super
Nefarious
sweet to
from
me.
Moo.
Yeah, I guess nefarious wasn't something that even crossed my mind, because Archie can handle himself. If anyone is going to be safe from these much lower level characters, it's him.
Yeah, but also Archie was like, I will let you tear me
Disassemble
apart.
me. Yeah, but I literally can just reassemble him, like,
Yeah.
by summoning him again, so I was like,
God,
I'll
that's
just
so
have to
weird.
do that. But like, there's definitely that fact that a lot of people do just kind of bypass Lavette and become friends with Archie. So it's like super sweet. It was also like, okay, you guys have fun.
God, that's a weird existence to think about. He's sentient,
Mm-hmm.
but you can be taken apart and your just head is sitting over here and you're just like. It's just- the idea of that kind of existence is just baffling to me. Not
I
baffling.
mean, he's usually either in person form or in ball form.
And does he think
which is-
when he's in ball form?
No, that's effectively being asleep.
Does
It's
he
kind
dream?
of like a
believe-
constant state of sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy.
Perchance to dream.
Just shadows moving around you, and you never understand what they are because you're not fully activated.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a different kind of sleep, so it's not. He's used to it. It's what he lived with his
It's
whole
normal
life.
for him.
It's
This
Yeah.
is
cool.
getting this is getting deep and disturbing.
Little
But
boy.
I have a question for you, Lavette. Because Lavette at this stage, it seems like it's fairly early on in that 5-year period between seasons 1 and 2, just after the rending, and Lavette is obviously having trouble still letting Soul go, and very much convinced still that they can bring Soul back. And from what we've seen of season 2, it seems like Lavette has developed a little bit since then, but is still having trouble even further on down the line. Do you think that Karis's advice about sort of moving on is gonna take root?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. There is the slight meta bit that I think there are like mechanical abilities down the line that could make that possible. But so I'm like, as a player, I'm like, okay, try to set aside what you know is possible in D&D and just it be like think of the mindset of the character. But Lavette is stubborn enough that it works with that. I think that potentially, I mean, it depends on how things go. I think that she'll hopefully get to that point. That's my goal. I hope that she has an arc in season 2 that she can get over it. But it's not gonna be a thing that just happens on its own.
Getting over it with Lavette McKinney-Bodwin.
Motherfucker. Hey, Xeno, I got a question for you.
Yeah, what up?
Yeah, why do you wish to be the bane of my existence by asking where the fucking bathroom
Yeah, why don't you build some more motherfucking bathrooms?
Fuck you! God damn it, Kyle.
Oh, dear.
I have this beautiful fucking mansion map, and you're like, where are the bathrooms? And I have to make up some fucking bullshit on the fly for you.
Where's the bathroom and where's the AED machine?
This is why I made bathrooms in the Vardo. This is why I'm like, there are bathrooms in the Vardo.
And they've been used so many
Being able to
times.
see everything that happens in the fight.
Yeah,
I still have questions about those bathrooms. Because whenever you use something, then it would all come out when you, like, exited.
Just flick.
Look, there's just like a deposit area underneath the Vardo.
Disgusting.
No, it's just a hole, and it drops onto the road as you're rolling.
It goes into the astral sea.
That is a plague waiting to happen.
Moving right along.
Amazing.
Beardy, I actually have a question for you that I think segues nicely into Kenny's next question for you, which was sort of what was it like to bring out Karis again, but as a player and not as a DM with godlike powers. And I also wanted to ask about what Karis has been up to. Specifically, they've been keeping in touch with Hildy, which I thought was kind of cool. It's nice.
Okay.
How is Hildy doing?
Okay, so you want me to start with Hildy and work backwards?
Yeah, work backwards if you like.
Okay, you got it. So, yeah, Karis has kept in touch with Hildy, largely because they're both pretty cerebral people. So they kind of struck a friendship, and at this point they're basically pen pals. Hildy's doing fine-ish. I mean, she's not doing great.
Fine-ish.
Yeah, she's not doing great.
I don't think she ever fully recovered.
I mean, she will eventually. It's gonna take a long time, like probably longer than the lifespan of any of your characters.
Yeah, don't worry, she's got that time though.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say. she's
I mean,
got
it's
the time for it.
gonna take her a little bit to get over it, but yeah, she's pretty happy to have at least made some friends out of that whole experience. But yeah, it was pretty traumatizing. Yeah.
And then
And
yeah.
Karis? Or
Yeah, so pulling Karis back out as a PC was interesting. I wasn't so much worried about the mechanics of running the character because there wasn't like a whole lot of combat in that session, which I was very thankful for because Karis in combat is really complicated. I don't know if I ever mentioned this before, but like when I made the character, the intent was to make the most complex character I could think of. So Karis is difficult to run as a PC because of how many options they have in combat. But luckily it didn't get to that. So from a mechanic side of things, it was fine. It was great just running the character. I mean, to me, it's just an old skin I put on to play with. It was nice. It was nice trying that out one last time as a PC. Yeah. As far as her personality, it had changed a bit in that amount of time because of the new responsibilities that had been laid on her, though. So she's now got a lot of people counting on her that she didn't have before.
And you feel
Before
she's...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, do you feel that she's stepped into that role nicely, or is she struggling?
Not yet. She's working on it. She's got a lot of people that don't want her to succeed back in her hometown, or in her new town.
Fucking high elves.
There's a lot
Right.
of elements that want to see her fail because she's an outsider and a human, right?
I'm a sun
So
elf now, so it's fine.
Right. That's a huge problem. But luckily, Osterus is being like a super supportive assistant, advisor kind of person to her. And she's got that and then raising two very rambunctious, hyper powerful beings as children. So she's overwhelmed most of the time. But I can't think of another character that would have done any better. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
I gotta say, as a fellow player, it was really fun interacting with Karis, where like Beardy got to dedicate your whole brain to the one character,
Mhm.
and like didn't have the omniscient meta knowledge of what everyone else is thinking. and stuff like that. I got to pick Karis's brain as just Karis is a person in the world. That was a really cool experience.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
And about the Karis and Yaculus romance, was this interaction true to Karis's character, or was it done only because the session was potentially non-canon?
Okay, so I put myself in her brain space, and as she's like I said, she's a cerebral person. She likes to think about hypotheticals and all kinds of different things. And one of those things is, timelines and whether something exists or doesn't exist. So when she finds out that there may in fact be no consequences, like legit 0 consequences to anything, then she's going to be like, well, why not then? There's no reason not to do something. If there's literally nothing on the, like, if we were all just going to wink out of existence, then why not? So, yeah, I would say that she definitely moved faster than she would have normally in any other circumstance with the Oculus, because there was no legit 0 consequences.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, hell, she may not have even pursued anyone else ever again, because she's had pretty bad luck in relationships up to that point in her life.
Don't worry, Jackie lives forever. Maybe they'll meet one day.
Maybe. You never know. Snake Eyes isn't done yet.
Skrewy.
Yeah.
On kind of a similar note, why did you decide to have Petraevian sleep with Pedor? I know a lot of it was joking at first, but once Pedor made the offer comparatively to Yaculus, he was very much so like, oh, I'll sleep with you. You're hot. What was the difference between that? Why did you decide Pedor?
I think it has to do with the I want to say the kind soul, it's that particular spark, I want to say like a pure of heart kind of person, like that.
You wanted to ruin them.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh my god.
Wow.
What I was hearing there. That's what I was hearing there.
Low hanging
for that.
fruit.
Adult. Just that someone who is genuine in all of their, like, I mean, not to say that Yaculus isn't genuine about what they're saying, but it's just that spark kind of connection, and it's very hard to explain. It's just that I'm a sucker for people for that type of personality, that just the types that want to help and want to be friends to all, kind of thing,
Okay. I think it's a very different personality from Hummel. I think Hummel's still pretty a good do-gooder, but Hummel's kind of a slut.
Yeah. But also, this happened way before.
That's true. This happened way before
Hummel.
you interacted with Hummel, so I find it very interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely say Hummel's more like Jackie.
Yeah,
I was
do.
just about to say, what would happen if Hummel and the Oculus ever met? With Hummel in human form, that would be.
I hope there's enough alcohol.
Also,
the cleaning bill is going to be
they're-
astronomical.
Yeah.
I also don't know if Skrewy heard that in the episode for the Halloween special that Hummel did follow you guys into the room
They watched.
at that point.
I didn't hear that portion.
Yeah, and well, I believe in the episode you're like, why? I wonder why that is. And that's how long I had already planned out the Hummel interaction.
It's the slow burn.
Wow.
I had the Hummel interaction planned out since season 1.
Aww.
Wham bam, thank you, man.
Oh.
That's just cute. I ship him. I have to. Yeah.
So, Skrewy, just a quick question. Still on Pedor, though. Did you catch that they did not like having parts, or that they alluded to already having a romantic partner?
I did not catch that.
Either or?
Home wrecker.
More, definitely the second part. I did not catch that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I missed that.
That's okay.
I'm
And
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible person.
No, I think you just didn't catch all the signals.
Nuance? Yeah. I don't catch a lot of signals.
It's okay. You're probably less
Pedor
likely to
was
get
still
cancer.
consenting,
Then.
right? That's
Oh
not
yeah,
the
Pedor
question.
was consenting. It's just they were telling you information.
Yeah, the nature of the interaction might have been understood a little bit differently by Petra, but I don't think that you did anything horrible.
Yeah,
Maybe
no, you
just had
didn't-
different
You
expectations.
didn't ruin them. It's just they didn't see it as a romantic thing for one thing. They saw it more as like an ability get. It's like a Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
Yuck.
I'd like to know what ability they got out of it.
What?
Turning into you.
Yeah, they can turn into an Oriat now.
Yeah, they got hardened.
So did
Basically,
Petra.
they used you. You feel they used-
Yes, but in a good way.
They at least understand what your average size is.
Ooh.
Yay!
What's the next question, though?
Yeah,
You're talking
so,
about height of Oriads,
Of
right? Yeah, we're talking about height.
course!
And moving right along.
So, thoughts for everyone. I think kind of fully touched on this was about Pringle being alluded to having some sort of contact with Anvil, and Soul maybe using that as a threat. The conversation seemed a little ambiguous and very quick, but I didn't know if any of you caught that.
I did. The thoughts I said earlier, though, still
Yeah,
apply.
okay,
The
okay.
whole like, oh well, I can't do anything about that. That sounds like we definitely didn't achieve anything. Cool. Par for the course for Lavette.
Okay. So, in the session, Grem, you say that Lavette often drinks themselves to sleep. Is this true, and can you give us more information about Lavette's mental state and thought processes?
Yeah, so in season 1, she had this conversation with Karis about a reoccurring nightmare that she had ever since Moira died the first time, where everybody in her life starts dying when she screws something up, and she starts like drowning in blood. And that hasn't stopped. She's still dealing with all that grief, and it's still a part, so she doesn't sleep much. And she will use substances to get herself to sleep so that she doesn't have that dream.
Okay.
I did have a question though that was I guess submitted for you and for Skrewy.
Mhm.
And this is just to clarify a couple of points that got brought up in the episode that I think need to be before they're added to the wiki. I just want to make sure that they are absolutely accurate. So Pedor's a biter, and Petraevian is officially loud in bed. Do we have that correct?
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that question, Xeno.
You're welcome.
Felt really, really comfortable asking that out loud.
Yeah, no.
Moving right along. Yeah.
Definitely a writer.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Hey, he will rock your world.
That's right, Rocky. So why don't you rock my world?
Are you proud of the Flintstones? Because I'm going to make your bed rock.
Oh, hell yeah!
I took pun damage from that just by hearing it.
Amazing.
I gotta go.
Bye, Beardy. We'll take the repercussions next week. It's fine.
Thank you for enjoying season
Bye,
2.
everybody.
Everyone's
TPK
dead.
from
The end. Okay, so another question. Just getting into the mystery portion of the game. A lot of the portion of the game ended up being just mostly RP, whereas there was just happenstance of a lot of portion just being in that case. But the last, like, hour and a half, maybe less, was just part of the murder mystery that I had originally planned. Like, this was supposed to be a way shorter session, and it ended up being like 5 hours. I don't know what happened.
6.5.
Because people were
that's
having
the problem.
fun.
Yeah,
with
we
the
haven't
Yeah,
seen
RPG.
a
that's the
shot.
problem with one-shots. We don't know when we're gonna have this opportunity again.
Next year.
Yeah, we don't, know. Or Christmas.
Yeah, it's
For
true.
Christmas.
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day.
I'd like to do I'd like to have a Groundhog Day episode.
Or we
We
have to
did.
find
It's
a
literally-
groundhog and just.
The Telic House was supposed
I
to
don't
be.
understand. Yeah, thank you,
We just
Kenny.
didn't
That was literally where we
Like,
started.
have to. We did everything
Yeah.
right.
I
Oh,
know,
that's
it
what
was
you mean by
Groundhog's Day,
Groundhog
and it's
Day.
like... That
Was
was
it
a
He-
He's talking about
miss.
the movie, I think.
We're still in the Telic House Groundhog Day.
Oh my god.
maybe.
It'll
Stop.
reset one of these minutes.
What
Yeah.
it is,
Oh.
the reset is totally just doing some social faux pas, like somebody's gonna put a cup in the wrong spot or something, and then
Yeah,
we
you're
got
all
so
level one.
Milk in your
far.
tea before the
Yeah.
tea. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, did you all suspect anyone first before you started receiving more clues, and why? Did you guys have anyone you suspected at all?
I was
No,
just.
they're all too precious.
I mean,
I do. I did.
Who
And I'm
was
gonna
it?
give you one guess.
Was it Pringle?
Mm-hmm.
Good, because I designed it specifically to have Pringle be the easiest to blame in that session.
I was
The
thinking.
red herring.
I was thinking it was Lavi or Pringle. Moo was a good, like, red herring. Like, just because everything kind of fit to Moo.
Yeah.
Like, almost everything was like, oh, Moo
The-
could do that.
A lot. I think most of the clues there were red herrings, or at least was supposed to lead you on someone else's case. The only one I didn't have, like, do anything because of incidents that happened. I'm just going to talk about it. I had branching paths based on what you guys did, which ended up making the guide like 20 pages long. But because Karis ended up sleeping with Yaculus, and Yaculus not ending up just going with the rest of the group, had he not slept with anyone, he would have had more clues point to him as well. But because he actually had an incident where he was with someone, there were less clues for him.
What else would be there for him? Because I know that we had the knife in the wall.
Yeah, it would have been one of his short swords. There would have been more of his equipment around the place. But you guys didn't go down that path, so I didn't have to worry about that very much. I did get to put more of Pringle into it because of that, because Yaculus and Pringle would have been together, just hanging out through the night had no one been like, want to sleep with me? So actually, I had planned, like, based on rejection, whether or not that incident would happen or not. Also, another thing that I did was based on whether or not you went to look for the kids first, or if you went to inspect the sound first. That changed finding Soul's crystal. So if you had gone downstairs first, you would have been the first ones down there, so you would have grabbed the crystal and been like, oh my god, Soul's turned into a crystal. You would have found the kids in the same place, though. So that wouldn't have changed much. It was just mostly, like, time-based on whether or not you would find that first, and Lavi would have grabbed that if you hadn't gone down, which is what happened. So there was a lot of diverging path things, and, like, this person will act this way if this happens, and stuff like that. I was up so late every night planning for this fucking thing. So
Like any other good DM.
I mean, knowing a little bit more than everyone else about the session ahead of time, I feel like might have given me a little bit of an advantage figuring out the mystery.
yeah.
But when I saw the actual cast of characters, I was like, oh, it's got to be Kailani. Like, I just immediately, I'm like, it's got to be Kailani because it's the only one that's not a Snake Eyes character.
Yeah.
Yet.
It's just sort of the
Yes.
odd person out.
Yeah, I kind of, once that was revealed, there was this sense of like, oh, well, there's a lot of context that I didn't have there about like their meta context.
Yeah,
And yeah, I do want to ask everyone what your reaction was to the reveal of Kailani as the villain, and also
It
Keni,
was so helpful.
what made you choose Kailani as the villain? But let's get to that at the end. So what was everyone else's reaction to that?
Yeah, I think I already went over that.
Yeah, you went over that, Beardy. Xeno.
I mean, I didn't really expect it because predominantly the evidence wasn't pointing towards Kailani.
That was the point.
Other than there was the water, and then at the end there was just the one that was like, oh, you have the fucking crystals.
Yeah. Well, I didn't actually anticipate you all to ask Pringle to use something, because I figured you all would have, for the most part, been convinced it was Pringle through all the evidence, because a lot of it led to them. So there was enough with, like, fire issues throughout it, and discussion between Moo, Lavi, and Pringle that all have various different fire abilities that could lead to them more often, and there were a lot more higher checks. Damn, Karis's high perception.
Like,
Die.
like I was like, there was way more things pointing towards Moo. Like everything pointed at Moo.
Oh, much. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was all the different alchemical things. I think there was like 2 or 3 things that were alchemical based. Mm-hmm. There's the fact that Moo could use the fire breath to do that, to do the fire spray that'd be smaller than her large bombs. Them, yeah, sorry. And then there's also the fact that, like with the arrow, like you don't have to be able to aim well to fire an arrow into a wall. Mm-hmm. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Especially with the bow being adhered to the bottom of a table with like glue that could have been made by an alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these things were like, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Grem and Skrewy, what were your reactions there?
Well, like I said, I didn't really want to suspect any of the precious beans, so I was sad that any of the precious beans in fact did it. But like, yeah, beyond that, I don't know. There was sort of a detachment since Kailani's the one character who we know the least about. Of like,
yeah,
this sucks, but also, who are you?
Yeah. I tried to have Kailani be the most helpful character and make all the suggestions for what you guys needed to do so that you wouldn't suspect them.
Yeah, I did notice that. And that was actually my main point of suspicion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted...
was that they were leading the conversation. I was like, anyone who's leading an investigation doesn't want the investigation to go a certain way. But then I was like, maybe that's just not how Keni thinks, though? I'm not sure. So I kind of dropped it. Yeah.
You were so close. And what about you, Skrewy? You wanna go into detail?
Mephistopheles bad.
I mean,
sorry to be kind of like a one note on that.
I was totally sold it was not Pringle because it was too obvious.
It was too easy, yeah.
It was too easy. It was and just Pringle seems like someone who gets shit pinned on her all the time. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna
not
play
like that, Beardy. Don't make that face.
Yeah, but if it wasn't her this time, it'll be her next time. Filthy devil worshipping tiefling. Ugh.
That's okay. The world is like vapidly beat Pringle up. It's fine.
So why Kailani?
So, in truth, a long time ago, I had been planning on playing another campaign with Beardy. One that wasn't planned on being recorded, but it was in Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
And the plan was for me to play this character, and they were going to be level 13, I think, as the starting. Yeah. And I was going to be with a bunch of other characters that he had DM'd for. Mm. And generally, the basis for that game was to take down Ish. And this was before we had made a deal with Soul or anything. Like, none of that had even happened or even gotten close when we were starting to plan that. And the campaign just didn't happen, and because people just didn't get ready for it. They aren't like us. They didn't, have a show that they're like, yeah, let's do this.
So of course Keni turns out Kailani is like, here's my beautiful baby, right? Here's this 20-page long backstory about this.
It's not
character.
20 pages.
No, I kid.
25.
And then, everyone else in that group is like, I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
And this was one of the groups that I had been playing with years and years ago. This was kind of like us being like, hey, let's all finish this story that we had 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Over the course of this thing, let's just finish the damn thing.
Yeah, it would have been a beautiful movie. It's like, let's finish the fight.
Yeah. So it's
So-
like let's.
So, kind of where I came from that idea, I thought they would be a perfect villain if they were from that timeline that we would have played that campaign and beat Ish. So, I took that story of knowing that that was the intent of that campaign and wove it into here.
Interesting.
I don't know
we've
what
got-
happens to the normal Kailani from your guys' timeline.
So it's a Kailani, but it's not necessarily a Kailani that we'll meet ever again.
I don't think so. They're dead.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Kailani
He died
Alpha.
at the end.
They fucking
Yeah.
died.
It was fucking sad too, because like hearing that too, it was like, oh, you had a better timeline and we fucked it up. And it was like, I'm sorry, I guess. I didn't know that we could do that.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Now, Keni, I do want to ask you, while we're talking about your sort of plans for it, you had an original plan. Did we touch on your original plans for Pedor in this episode?
No, not really.
Do you want to comment on those at all?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, originally, I had planned for each character to have a specific interaction with people, like focus on specific people. So, Pringle was supposed to bug Petraevian, which was successful. Pedor was supposed to focus on Vera because they smell like the forest and honey and all these wonderful things. And even though they said they smelled like bitter, it was more referencing to the insect smell of things because they have a very sensitive schnoz. So they smell things more intensely than everyone. That's kind of the way they see the world, is almost through scent, more so than vision half the time. That's how they feel through things and figure out where things are. That's their survival check, pretty much, is through their nose more so than anything else. So their goal was to, like, almost be attached to Vera's leg the entire time and just being like, hi, how are you? I like
Oh
you.
my God, that's so adorable.
So it was supposed to be this annoying character to Vera, at least, and being like, ugh, this thing won't leave me alone. So that was the intent with Pedor originally. And then Petraevian was just like, yeah, I'll sleep with you. And I was like, well, throw that shit out. All right, let's go.
Roll with the punches.
Exactly.
So Pedor, which of the party smells like a baka? Oh dear. I broke it.
Petraevian, you kind of smell like a baka. Eren Yeager!
I apologize for that one. That was just, yeah.
No, you don't.
All
No,
good,
you
all
don't.
good.
No, I don't. Not even a tiny
Nah.
bit. Keni, you've got some more
Course it.
questions.
Yeah. So in terms of when we were all interviewing, well, when you were all interviewing characters, in terms of good cop, bad cop, why is Vera the only bad cop in the group?
That was fantastic. I loved that
Because
whole
she's bad
series
enough
of
for all
beats.
of us.
That's true.
For sure.
Fucking
Because
easy
as
for
soon
them.
as Vera does the bad cop bit a little bit, everybody is like, that was a bit far. We gotta reel it down. Make it a little bit comfier because they're already gonna be hostile.
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually, I guess the question is, if Kurla was here, would Kurla have been a bad cop, or would they also have been like, yo, simmer down?
Cola would have been
Yeah.
like, I've got 1 week until retirement. Yeah, I'm too old for this shit. And then they would have
Young
died
rookie cop.
Yeah.
handler.
tragically.
You
Yeah.
can't say that, man.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I think it would have just been bad cop, worst cop, and I think Vera and Kurla would have been battling over who was the worst cop. I think they would have just been one-upping each other until we were just beating the shit out of each of the
God.
suspects.
Moo would be
Talk,
having
damn
such
you,
a bad
talk.
day.
Oh, I can never be mean to Moo. Or Pedor, for that
Immediately
matter.
recline into selves.
Yeah, I think Kurla would start out trying to be bad cop and then be like, I just can't be mean to these people. They're too.
It's
little and
okay if
innocent."
you're mean to me. I forgive you.
No, my heart. I've got a heart
It's
and now
okay.
it's broken.
I will always forgive you.
Oh, Pedor, I love Pedor.
Also,
Anyway.
I'd like to add a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So with Moo, I believe you said that Moo basically doesn't really hate people or like judge them harshly typically.
I think they used to. I think they've grown a lot. It's hard. It's hard to say what exactly they feel towards people. I don't think they feel the same. It's just like, ugh.
But I think you said that that changed with one interaction between Vera and Moo.
Yeah, Moo's never like been aggressive towards anyone. They're very much so passive, not even passive aggressive, just I don't want to deal with this interaction, so I'm going to be in my head and just not exist currently. They dissociate a lot. Vera is a goddamn awful entity to Moo. They think you're awful. They think you're mean. How dare you insult the fine art of alchemy?
I wasn't insulting. I was just telling you how easy it was.
You're an idiot to them.
I literally have this book, and it has everything I need to know
you're
about it.
Stupid.
I feel like that's the greatest, like most cardinal sin to Moo is being stupid.
Yeah. Intelligence is everything to them.
Okay, wait. Is it stupidity or willful ignorance? Like, which would be worse? No, there is a distinct.
Why not both?
There's a distinct difference.
There is a distinct difference.
There's a difference. Obviously, yeah.
I would, obviously, I'm not playing them, but I would guess Moo is probably more opposed to straight up just stupidity.
Yeah.
It's not about knowing, like, willful ignorance. It's about, like, you're not worth my time. I can't hold a conversation with you if you don't know shit.
Yeah, because
You're
Moo
not
will
even
get very
capable.
excited when people understand what they're talking about, and they'll actually be able to make the brain connections of like, oh, this is a person.
Because that was kind of like the middle ground that Lavette and Moo found was like, they're like, oh, you might be smart, but you're not smart about alchemy, so I can't really talk to you about it. So it's not really a friendship thing.
Sorry.
I'd love to know
Sorry.
what their tests from Petra's flesh.
You're resistant
yielded.
to acid.
Yep, that's probably it.
I mean, we figured that part. I'm saying anything else, but that
Your flesh
that-
can still be
that's-
torn.
It's probably stuff you already know.
Yeah,
because you've been
to be
living
honest.
with it.
They've never met an Oriad.
The tests have confirmed that it smells.
Like a
Vodka.
Oh, goodness.
I suppose you could always ask Moo next time there's a holiday special.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
So, the idea of a time travel campaign, we've kind of dealt with time with this one, where we go back and defeat all the 8 in Grishnell, was talked in this session, where we did that instead. Would everyone want to do that, or even like going back in time, or just playing a past time in our world and playing a campaign like that? What would everyone's thoughts be on something like that?
I think a flashback campaign would be cool. I actually have characters I've thought
I want
about
to go-
for a flashback campaign.
Okay.
But playing as our characters going back in time, to be down for it. I love these characters. It'd be a little weird, but you know, whatever our adventure takes us, I'll be down for it.
I'd be down for something like we go back into time of each character, but we are tempted to change something in the past there.
You've been watching Quantum Leap again, haven't you?
I love that fucking show.
Theorizing that Petraevian could time travel within his own life. I'm sorry.
With his, and the idea of it is kind of really fascinating. I mean, we have our own backstories, but we can create our own backstories, but there's a whole world in those backstories that are outside of our character.
What would you change playing Marcus again?
Yeah.
But wait, okay.
You'd still go for the ring, wouldn't you? And get your comrade killed.
Yes, I would.
It's a good
Because
ring.
it's a learning experience. The point is it's a learning experience.
Totally worth it that I got this other person killed. It was a learning experience for me.
What do you think they learned?
Come on, that's so important.
It was probably a learning experience for everyone. Learn about trusting Marcus. Learn about magic rings.
Learning about how painful lava is.
I think going back, if I ever got the option to redo any changes from Soul, Just based on what could have happened for Soul, because they don't have a lot of good options for their ending, I would have probably done most of the same. If not, just talk to Gross sooner about the poly thing. That's it.
I know two things differently if I could do things differently. I feel
Roll
like they would
better
have made all
roll.
the difference. I would have not shot Grow, and I would have told Marcus to stay the fuck outside when we're going to see Moira. Even if she still died, we could have just resurrected her the normal fucking way. And it would have been fine.
Avoided all that shit.
Yeah.
So are we
And I
going into
wouldn't have
this?
hated him
Now,
either.
that's amazing.
Lavette wouldn't have hated Marcus at any point in time and wanted him dead. She would have just found him annoying.
So are we like going into this thinking
That
about
works.
the characters going back in time, knowing how things went, and then going back and changing them themselves, or?
I guess so.
I guess.
Yeah, like you meet like the Keeper of Time, and the Keeper of Time is like, I will send each of you
You guys
back to
already
one
know
moment
the
in your
Keeper
life.
of Time.
What?
What?
Ooh.
Apple.
What?
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 Who?
Who?
How?
How?
Where? When?
Why?
When?
Why?
Oh, I
Only
think
sometimes, Kenny.
I think that Vera would probably change things that happened before the campaign, so I can't really talk about them.
Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
Damn you!
Poor Skrewy.
So,
We will
Skrewy,
get
you're gonna
there
have
at
to
some point.
figure out about stuff later.
Yeah. Oh, that's. I am. Of everybody here, I think I am the most frustrated to learn about your backstory.
Keep
That
trying.
might be correct,
You really
yeah.
got to talk to the other characters to like get anything. Really, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, there's I'm gonna have to have a whole sit down with just like everybody, and except for
Except for Vera.
Do you
Like,
know how
Except
easy
Vera
it
to
would be
talk
for
about
me to
Vera.
like, as Riz, use fucking spells to find information for you?
Yeah, you're
God.
strong, that shit
Yes,
easy.
I
Bing, bang.
get it. I get it.
Well,
both-
I hope you remember.
I mean,
Yeah, both
There's a
Riz
bunch
and Lavette would be so
So
key in
easy.
getting you information.
Yeah.
yeah. Lavette does still know stuff about Vera that Petra doesn't still know. Like,
Because
like
Lavette used to be
Bahrain
the
is
one
not a
who got
name
everyone's
that-
backstories.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Petraevian has Petraevian ever been told about Bahrain? I can't even remember.
I think
I
so.
don't think so.
Not in the game, unless he did in the 5-year gap. Then no.
Does Skrewy know about Bahrain?
I don't think he remembers. I don't think he watched that episode. That's what you get for not reviewing the old stuff.
Or, not reading the wiki, although I don't think that's actually on the wiki. But, Kenny, did you have,
Oh, it's
do
on
you
the
have more
wiki.
questions?
No, that was my last question. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Oh, well, I've got a couple of follow-ups. You had mentioned, Kenny, that you kind of aimed for some specific pairings of the Check Please characters and the Snake Eyes characters, and then things kind of diverged in unexpected directions, but fun directions. So I'm curious to know, of the rest of you, which characters did you most enjoy interacting with? And overall, did you think that the crews meshed well together? And we'll start with Skrewy.
Oh, goody. So I would say, I mean, I really did enjoy Paydor.
Paydor?
Everyone
Yeah.
loves
Oh my
Paydor.
God. I mean, I'm sorry. It's a cop out answer, but it's a really true answer. They are just such a pleasure to be around.
Okay.
Grem.
Yeah, I was definitely not expecting for Lavette and Yoculus to hit it off like they did. That was really endearing and really fun.
Yeah, Oculus
Xeno?
is good people. You just gotta give them a chance.
It's not. I just didn't think that they had meshing personalities. I didn't think that. I figured that Lavette, being the squirrely, quiet type, was going to be left alone by anybody who she didn't actively try to interact with. And obviously, she did kind of want some people to talk to her because she's not really the type to initiate conversation, so it worked out great. But I don't know. They're very opposite ends of the spectrum personality-wise, so I didn't think that they were going to have so much to talk about. But it was really nice.
Xeno.
I don't think Vera had many genuine interactions in the session, but I did really enjoy talking with Moo. just being the grate of sand under the nails. Just horrible.
I hate sand.
Oh.
It's a genuine thing. I hate sand.
Just the ability
I
to
like
annoy and move that much was great.
Priceless.
You're a
Yeah.
bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Beardy. Hard to pick favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, you do deal with them the most.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like I'm not in a good position to answer that.
Okay.
Well, use the line my mother uses whenever we ask which of her children she likes best, which is that she dislikes us all equally.
Ooh.
You dislike all the characters equally.
No, I know Beardy has some favorites.
I mean,
I should clarify that she says it lovingly, which I'm sure you would also say it, Beardy, towards the characters, that you're equally
So-
fond of them, really.
So just of the ones that you mean just to like the snake eyes, or
Just overall, I mean, you don't have to answer
you
it.
mean
It's
like
okay.
am I allowed to like? Oh, you okay?
Well,
give me
the question
parameters again.
was more sort of which characters did you enjoy interacting with from your characters, and did
Oh,
you feel that
from,
overall
like...
that the two teams meshed? But I mean, if you want to say which, if you all want to say which character dynamics you enjoyed the most, whether it's your character or not, by all means, do say so.
Okay, well, from Karis's perspective, I think they actually had the most fun interacting with Pringle, which was unexpected to me because, because Karis was like, "Oh, I'm just some nobody from the Holy City that grew up as an orphan," and then like Pringle clicked, and then they're like, "Wait a minute, you too?" And then they just kind of had this common ground that I think neither of them like realized ahead of time. They basically had damn near the same childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a really
less sewers for Pringle.
less sewers for Pringle,
Yeah.
but basically, living in an underground cult in the Holy City is like apparently more common than they thought.
Yeah.
So,
Woo!
they kind of bonded over being cult orphans.
What do you
together.
mean? It's not a cult.
Yeah, exactly.
There were definitely subtle but key differences that I, as a player, was aware of. That was like, yeah, even if Lavette knew about these differences, I don't think they'd be a good idea to bring up. They don't really seem like they had quite the same experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So, yeah, it was a connection I didn't even really think about until it happened, and it was.
I mean,
fun.
it caught me off guard also as a player. I thought it was really cool.
yeah, as a listener, it caught me off guard, and I jotted it down because I thought it was a really cool little moment that, we never would have had we not had this crossover, this very special crossover, the most ambitious crossover in history episode.
Yep.
I have a question again for everyone. It's, do you wish your characters could remember these events in going forward in your canon lives? And if they could, what lessons do you think that they draw from it, and who might they wish to see again?
Number one,
Don't
alchemy is
be
really
a-
easy. Number two. I mean, I think. Oh, sorry, you go, Skrewy.
Don't be a judgmental asshole.
You're still learning that in main game anyways. It's
Yeah.
fine. You're getting there. You're doing good.
I don't know. I think it's an important part of being a paladin.
Yeah, I still find it weird that y'all are like telling Skrewy, "Yo, why are you angry at the evil worship?" Because like it is still evil, and you're all about doing good. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I
think
guess
that's
I'm more
fair.
of a gray grounds person where I'm like, well, good people can worship bad things. It's fine.
I'm just personally of the mind that good people don't destroy evil people. That's not what makes you good.
Yeah, you more like just arrest
You
them
do
when they do a
good
bad
things.
thing.
Or you just, I think good people are the ones who do healing.
Yeah.
The-
But
yeah.
they try to redeem people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Maybe Batman does, but Iron Man don't.
No.
that's why
Who
Iron
said
Man's not
Iron Man was a good person?
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
why
Iron
Batman's
Man
a
is
good
an
guy and Iron Man's a
alcoholic
libertarian.
asshole.
Does Captain America bring people in? I'm pretty sure he also kill. I'm pretty sure all the Marvel heroes just kill people.
Nowadays,
some- yeah.
probably.
No,
Let's-
they get the
let's-
comics.
Oh yeah, definitely in the comics. Yeah, I guess so. Fuck.
Yeah.
Let's be kind to Petraevian, though. It's not as if Petraevian goes around trying to smite every single enemy. Oh,
No.
Shit.
No, we just are attached to Pringle.
with holy hell. Well, no, not holy. Holy. What's the opposite of hellfire? Heaven fire? Holy heaven fire.
Heaven's
That's
light?
a thing now. There we go.
Heaven's
Heaven-
water?
It would be
The
no.
light
It
of
would
heaven.
be
Yeah.
yeah. It would be
Smite you with the light of heaven. Boom.
Yep.
It's fine.
with the holy fire.
But yeah, here's the thing. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing for Petraevian to have. Like, as far as like a knee jerk reaction, it's like your job as a paladin is to seek out and destroy evil.
I think it fits. Yeah, I would
But
agree.
I'm
It
just
fits
ribbing him.
Like,
Petraevian really
I'm
well.
not going to give Petraevian shit for that. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I
But-
think it's funny. I don't really think it's a big deal.
Yeah, but in a general sense, he wants to give people. He's trying to be more, give people the benefit of the doubt versus the knee jerk reaction. But once he has made the decision of that, it's hammer time, as it were.
I'll
He's
remember
got
that.
the inner conflict going, and from that, growth, which is it's nice to see. Yeah, Grem, what's up?
Well, to answer your actual question about whether or not we'd want our characters to remember it and everything,
Oh, that was my
I've-
question. Holy shit, that was like an hour ago.
I can't really. I've given it a lot of thought, honestly, and I don't really know if it would be better or not for character to remember it. Ultimately, I think it's probably better for her not to, just because it makes things really complicated, and there are a lot of like decisions in the universe that could be very heavily affected by the knowledge that's gained there, and it would be easier to just ignore it. But at the same time, like, it could be beneficial to know the future, so there's that too. As far as like lessons picked up from it, I don't know. It was kind of a pretty routine experience, I feel like, as far as Lavette's moral lessons go. It's like she didn't really judge anyone harshly on the outset, and then that kind of turned out to be the downfall, was that like she just wanted to assume that nobody was the culprit when it was actually somebody did have malicious intent.
Anyone else want to chime in on that, or shall we get to what is my final question?
Other than that, like, yeah, I'd like the characters to remember, just because it's like, oh yeah, there's these fun interactions that occurred. But otherwise, like, Vera didn't learn anything from this experience.
Yeah,
Vera very rarely learns things from her experiences.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything. I was right. Dear Princess Mellifera, I didn't learn anything. I was
learn
right
anything.
all along. So final question then is for you, Keni, and I'm going to open it up to you, Beardy, as well. So Keni, what did you draw from this? What lessons did you draw from this that will be useful to you in future sessions that you DM, if you DM again? And Beardy, what did you take from the experience of sitting back and watching Keni DM and playing in one of Keni's games? Keni, we'll start. Beardy, I'll open it up to you, and then I think Keni can have the final word.
Oh, okay, sure. So I think that in gaming terminology, I'm the forever DM, right? Like that's what I do. That's my role. That's what I'm comfortable with. And honestly, that's what I legitimately prefer that way. So it was definitely strange sitting back in a playing role. I'm not used to that role in the game, and it was definitely different. And like Grim said earlier, it was interesting to be able to devote 100% of my brain space to one character. And that kind of helped in some of those interactions. I think it helped me to, get a little bit deeper into the Karis character than I had in a long time. Because I mean, it originally was a character that I'd played in a different game, but this was much more roleplay heavy than that one. So it was fun. As far as you said, doing this again, or like, forgive me, what was the rest of that question?
Yeah, just what lessons, I guess, will you take from it from here on out, serving back as a DM again, and I guess just reflect on the overall experience as you have done on Keni having taken on the role.
Yeah, I think that Keni did a great job, and I definitely, it was a change of pace going back to being a player for a little while. But yeah, it was altogether an exciting and interesting evening. I had fun.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was very good.
I
Would do again.
I was very, 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 very nervous about the whole situation. Of course, I had been so anxious about every single detail coming into that special, hence the 20-page guide I wrote for myself, and I feel like I did okay. I feel like one of the things I learned was I should prompt you all to do shit more. Because my goal was that, you'll all go to sleep, and then I can move on to phase 2. And y'all didn't fucking go to sleep. And I was like,
nope.
go the fuck to sleep, goddammit!
Vera tried. To be
I know,
honest,
I
but-
appreciate it.
But unfortunately,
So, I mean, she fell asleep eventually. So there was a couple of stuff that I did not anticipate that I just kind of hand waved and was like, you're all in your rooms now, fuck it.
Yeah, now you know what it's like.
So I might
Herding
be
cats.
if I'm gonna do another special, I might be a bit more rigid on what needs to happen and just prompt you guys more. It might have to be a little more linear. This one I was just kind of feeling it out and seeing what you guys would do. Half of the shit I do is a science experiment for myself. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd do it again. I just might be a bit more stricter in the future, I guess.
Well, did everyone enjoy Kenny's work?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say that Kenny spent like a week just being like,
I was so tired.
did I do okay? I'm
A
sorry.
bit of a.
You did brilliantly.
Lots of I'm sorries. Bit of a train wreck.
Yeah. I was worried that I had messed up everything the day after, week
It's-
after.
Like, for real, I wouldn't say that you did a good job for being new at DMing. You did a good job, full stop.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I loved it as a listener, and I was really impressed by just how well you fit into that role. So, kudos from me, the
Thanks, wonderful.
green-skinned, weird PNG person.
And your ability to switch back and forth between characters within the same breath is wonderful.
That is
Yeah,
very, very cool.
fantastic.
No, it needs a little bit of a gasp in the middle sometimes. Just really quick so I can switch.
But as someone who hates doing that whenever I play my own game, run my own games, I fucking commend you, because I was like I'll get into that with NPCs and I'll stop and turn to my PCs and be like, am I just going to be talking to myself or what's going on here?
No, I don't mind talking to myself at all. I've been doing that since I was little, though, because I was just left to my own devices as a child. So I just
Well, it
talked to
certainly made all the
myself.
characters real and believable, that they were willing to talk to each other, and
Yeah.
and it wasn't like they would only talk to us.
I literally hear Kenny having the characters talk to each other on a daily basis.
Sorry.
Take notes.
I feel
Send them
it.
to me. I want them for the wiki.
Is everything okay over there?
I'm fine. Sometimes I get into these weird trances where I'm just so in my head and like this little scenario that I'm going through that it just kind of comes out verbally. I've been better where I can just do it in my head, but sometimes I just say it. It happens in the shower a lot where I'm just like going through a fucking scenario and Xeno will be like, "Are you okay? You still alive in there?"
Oculus, you doing okay?
Oh no, not one bit. Thank you for asking though.
You're welcome.
Oh no.
As long as Pedor's doing okay, then everything's fine with the world. And everything's terrible.
Everything
and
gets
sucks
I was gonna
and
say.
on
Snake
that
Eyes
note-
gets rough. I'm just gonna say that. It's gonna get rough in the future.
Oh,
Sorry.
no.
Beardy is a sadist, but
My
everything's
heart.
consensual from like DM to
Later.
player. That's the word.
That
Yeah.
one.
DM to DM.
That is important. Well, that's everything that I have question-wise. So unless you've
Alright.
got anything to add, anyone, I'm all set. Thank you all for your answers.
Yeah,
and
I thought
insights.
this was a really fun, more casual checkpoint. So thank you all.
Yeah.
I get a little embarrassed, but you know, it's cool. But I wanted to thank our audience all for coming today. We had a lot of fun discussing the Halloween episode and hope you enjoyed it as well. So, just as a heads up, we have Snake Eyes next week at 2 p.m. Central. However, we do want to let you all know that we're going to be changing up our schedule as we are going to be heading into live shows for Check Please. We've been doing pre-recorded episodes up to this point, and I genuinely believe that we've come to a point where that we can do complete stop live shows. We will be having face cams and everything. So it'll be changing soon after next week. Snake Eyes' schedule will also be changing due to that, as we will be doing Check Please every week instead of every other week. So a lot is going to change. and we hope you stick with us through it. So we'll see you next week, 2 p.m., and hope you roll with us then. Until next
Yay!
time, bye!
Take care. Thank you. Bye.